So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Villa fans, and welcome. Whoa! What kind of nonsense happened there?
And the decker on the wrong side.
Hello, Villa fans. We'll start that one again. Hello, Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I'm going to be really honest. I'm still basking in the glory of this guy, John Duran 9. At the moment, my third shirt came through the door this morning, and I must say, I tell you, it's the best. It's the best fitting one of the three so far. Anyway, for me, not fitting, but just I like it. Put it this way: for a man of my portly stature, to have lines, vertical lines or horizontal lines, should I say, usually isn't great. But this one doesn't seem to be too bad. So, yeah, I'm going to go with it. I like it. Maybe it's because I've got the Colombian Chaos Merchant in the back of it, but it's. I said I'd wear it for the preview today.
We seem we've gone opposite end of the scales. We may as well tell people at this stage that this is pre-recorded. So if you're tuning in and you're commenting, we will get the comments, but they won't appear on screen. But I've chosen to wear this one after my shower this morning because this was the first shirt that we wore under Unai Emery. So you've gone with the recency of John Duran this week for the week that's in it, and I've gone with this shirt that will forever remind me of Luca Dean's free kick versus Manchester United in Unai Emery's first game.
Yeah, and that shirt always mean an awful lot to me because I've got it framed here behind me, and I still don't know who sent me a signed shirt signed by the whole squad. In Unai Emery's.
Part of me wishes that this one was signed and framed because I got a bit of a wake-up call when I put it on this morning because it's a little bit snug.
Well, there we go, Paddy. There we go.
So
get on
the 2 years, well, they've been really, really kind to our management and our club and our team. Maybe I need to start looking after myself a little bit better.
Yeah, look, there's plenty of time for that. But
there's a course, Neil.
I know. What did I say? Father Time is undefeated. Father Time is definitely undefeated. But yeah, I suppose we'll talk about it for a small little bit there just before we get into the Bournemouth preview because look, spoiler alert, I'd say it's going to be more or less we're going to be able to pick the team against Bournemouth. I think maybe Dina's back in, maybe Cash is back in at the right hand. So who knows? We'll talk about that in a moment. But it's been a massive 2 years for Aston Villa Football Club to go from 17th in the league and being out of the relegation zone by goal difference to being top of the Champions League by goal difference is like there's I can imagine this somewhere in the annals of the finance department of Aston Villa. They're going, thanks be to Christ, we have a documentary team on board this year. So the rumor goes, and that they're going to be selling, like they'll have no problem flogging this one. I'd say to whatever streaming service wants it. Particularly if Villa keep on going the way that they are, because it's been a rags to riches story. I think since Unai Emery has come in, and we're all riding this gravy train to the end anyway, no matter where it takes us. So it's fantastic.
And look, it's as you correctly say, it is a rags to riches story, and it was done the right way. You look at what those documentaries. There's the Wrexham one, there's the Sunderland one, and they all their success come from throwing money at it and investors and everything else. What Unai Emery has done with a body of players that were there when he arrived. If you still look around the park, there's still a load of them still there. The spine of the team is made up of these players that have done him so well over the last couple of years. And let's not forget that when we're throwing bouquets at him in a couple of minutes. But like that is important to remember for everybody, that everybody thought the team weren't good enough and the manager wasn't good enough, but there was just one common denominator that wasn't good enough. And we all know what it is now. And here we are 2 years later, looking back. And I have to say, take out the period from 92 to 94, maybe, when I was young and naive.
96.
Probably this is the best I've felt as an Aston Villa fan. The only thing missing is an old silver pot, but who knows what's up the sleeve of. Look, I'll take a Carabao Cup, I'll take an FA Cup, I'll take anything. But that's the only thing missing from what this man has done. And who's to say he can't do that? And look, I just believe we're going to have him for the long term. This is his home. This is what he loves. He just eats, sleeps, and breathes Aston Villa, and it's an absolute pleasure and a pleasure for the last 2 years. And if I was in better fettle, we put this off until tonight, and we might have had a few drinks and cracked open a can to celebrate the 2 years, but feeling well at all. So we'll share that maybe at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned there that obviously Unai Emery is doing this with a bunch of players that he inherited, for want of a better word, in some instances, and you'll find it the more disingenuous of the punditry class. The pundit class will say, but sure, he built on what Steven Gerrard built. And that's nonsense as well, because the majority of the players that are still here are players that Dean Smith bought. So, it's, you said that the club have done it the right way. The owners have done it the right way. And, they've been ruthless when they needed to be ruthless. And we were very much a Smith in brigade. We gave Steven Gerrard the benefit of the doubt when he came in, but none of us would swap anything that happened prior to Unai Emery for anything that's happened after Unai Emery, and that's just the long and the short of it. Obviously, look, don't get me wrong. Like, massive hugs to and appreciation to Dean Smith for everything that he did, bringing us, to where he brought us, and the brilliant story of him being one of our own as well. But we're also now writing a brilliant story with somebody who isn't one of our own, but could very well end up one of our own. The biggest Brummie Basque man in the whole of in the whole of Europe. We're hoping he becomes, because I want him to be part of this Aston Villa setup for the rest of my natural life. And there's very few people that I could say that about that have worn an Aston Villa jersey down through the years. So never mind manage the team. So what an amazing job he's done, and hopefully he continues to do it, starting with Bournemouth at the weekend, because Paddy, it's not going to be an easy one. He's going to be up against another Basque manager at the weekend, but hoping that he can get the better of him. And Bournemouth aren't a bad side. Bournemouth are actually a really, really good side. And I was saying this last year as well, so we kind of have to be on our marks with regards to that one.
Yeah, they're not a bad side. They haven't had the best of starts. I probably expected a little bit more from them, but they have had a tough run of fixtures. Take the West Ham defeat out of that. It's probably been expected enough. They beat Everton, lost to Chelsea, lost to Liverpool, beat Southampton, lost to Leicester. That's probably a poor result. And then last weekend beat Arsenal 2-0, albeit a little bit skewed with Arsenal having a player sent off, rightly so, despite everything you've read on social media this week, rightly sent off. The same way Upamecano should have been sent off for Bayern Munich against us, exactly the same thing. But where we've complained about PGMOL in the past, they got that one absolutely spot on. And the UEFA counterparts or PGMOL didn't get it spot on for Bayern Munich. So they can have little complaints. Arsenal, I don't think anyway. I know their fans have done nothing but complain since. But from then on, it looked like, to me, watching the game, it looked like there could only be one winner. Both teams had plenty of shots, but Arsenal reduced their long range efforts because they couldn't get in behind them. They did get a couple of late chances later on, but at that stage, it was 2-0 and two good goals as well for Bournemouth. They will punish you. They have players that can punish you. We know we've put up with Semenyo before. The game we were at last year, was it Semenyo? Yeah. Decent player.
And he should have been sent off against us in the other game. But still, no, but he's a good player. He's not a dirty player, obviously, or anything like that. That's not what we're saying. But a really good player and someone that we're definitely going to need to keep eyes to. He's their top scorer this year with 3 goals. Yeah, with 2 yellow cards is 2 yellow cards. Yeah.
Obviously, then They've added Ivan Nielsen, a Brazilian international. There's really, really good history behind him at Porto. He's tore up the Portuguese league. I know it's completely different and will take time to settle. He's got a goal already, so he will cause us problems, I'm sure. They've got Justin Kluivert there to come off the bench as well in attack. Ryan Christie come off the bench and did very well last weekend, the player who's kind of been forgotten about. Enes Unai from Turkey is there, come off the bench last weekend as well, as did Sinistera, who if we have our Colombian chaos, he's capable of coming on and causing chaos for sure. So made his name at Leeds United, obviously, and that's where we remember him from. And then had a good run of games last season in the Premier League, and has started most games this year, or come on in most games this year.
Yeah, never mind them. When you go back to their defense, they've signed people like Julian Orango, they have Dean Huyson in there as well. They haven't messed around. No. Bournemouth haven't messed around in the transfer market. They've been deliberate in who they've signed. They've got even down to their goalkeeper. They had his name escapes me from last year. Can't remember. Anyway, but they had him. They had a goalkeeper last year. No, that's the type of analysis you come from. Believe it or not, they had a goalkeeper last year, and they have a goalkeeper again this year. So it's incredibly forward thinking stuff that they have here. But Kepa is on loan from Chelsea this year. Pardon me?
Neto was
who it was. Yeah, Neto was who it was last year. Yeah. But they've gone out on loan. They've got Kepa this year as well, who is a good goalkeeper. I know a lot of people, he's Marmite to some people, but I think he's a very good goalkeeper. So they're not afraid to swing for the fences. They're certainly not afraid. I know Bournemouth's by the sea and stuff like that, but they're certainly not afraid to get some South American sun-loving type people anyway into the club, because they've been really they've really spread their net far and wide from that point of view. They have arguably, and I say this arguably and mean it, but they've arguably three of the better centre halves. Senesi, Zabarni, and Dean Huyson are really good centre halves. They're really, really good centre halves, and they can't find a way to shoehorn them all into the one team, which for us is good. They've got some really good tricky players, as you mentioned, Sinistera, even Otuara that they signed last year, I think it was, and Alex Scott. We didn't even mention him as well. Alex Scott, who's had a kind of a stop-start kind of existence with Bournemouth since he signed for them in 2023. He's only played 26 or 7 odd games, but a really talented player too. So they've got a lot of talent within this team, and how they're going to deploy it at the weekend is, and I know, look, some of those are injured, but or some of those are working their way back from injury. I don't think they have anybody out at the moment, sort of a full deck to play with. So they're going to be able to pick from some really talented players. And coming to Villa Park, we're going to need the Villa Park roar like we had on Tuesday night again to get us over the line here, because as you mentioned, they're in 11th place, but they still have they have 11 points. They're only 2 wins away from us, and I know in this early part of the season that means nothing, but their biggest issue is they're struggling to score goals at the moment. And we're struggling to keep clean sheets in the at times this year, but we've been on a good run of it so far, so long may it continue.
Yeah, we've struggled in the league, obviously, with those clean sheets, and you probably, in my head, I'm expecting us to concede at some stage of the weekend. It just seems to be par for the course at this stage, but we'll wait and see what happens. But I'm expecting us to win the game. I don't think that will be classed as madness by any stretch of the imagination. They will cause us problems, but I think we will have enough to go and see it through.
Yeah, I would be very, very hopeful Villa would win this game. But once again, the recency bias of the Man United and the Ipswich games, for me, have to be taken into account, specifically coming off a midweek Champions League game, like we did against and the euphoric Champions League game as it was against Bayern Munich. If I'm not mistaken, we played Ipswich directly after that, and that's where we kind of were a bit lax. No, sorry, we played United directly after that. We found it hard to get to the
After
pitch of the
Bayern, we
game.
played United. Yeah, sorry.
After Bayern we played United. Yeah. It was after Wickham we played Ipswich, and we weren't a terror against Wickham either, albeit that it was a massively changed squad. But it was after Bayern, yes, that we played United, and we found it tough to get back up for that again. And that was a game that was there for the taking, and we came and we couldn't get out of third gear. So that's going to be the challenge for Unai Emery. And look, maybe that was dictated by some of the changes that were made on Tuesday night as well. Do you expect the team to be much changed at the weekend, Paddy? Like I expect Ollie Watkins is going to start. I expect Dini is going to be in at left back. Leon Bailey, I think, might be given a bit of a rest. Maybe McGinn moves back over there and he brings Ramsey in on the left hand side with Philogene being out. Is there anything else really that you kind of could see happen in this game?
Nothing jumping off the page. I suppose Jaden Philogene being suspended means that Bailey might get another run. If I'd like one of the journalists to ask the question tomorrow, is there an injury there? Is he struggling with fitness? Is he struggling with confidence? Whatever that is, that's the main decision I think that needs to be made tomorrow. I don't think anywhere else across the pitch are you worried about who comes in for Maatsen if he changes it. If Matty Cash comes in and Diego Carlos falls out, that's all good. That we've got plenty of talent there. Plus we got a Carabao Cup game during the week, so we can probably see a bit of rotation in that game as well. I'm expecting from both teams, as I've said previously. So get this over the line. This is our bread and butter. We need points on the board. We need to continue on what we've done for the last 2 years, and that involves staying within those European places. One thing that hasn't been mentioned this season is the Coefficient FC hasn't been doing too bad, so 5th place might be enough.
Coefficient FC is actually ripping it up, specifically from a Champions League point of view, and it'll be interesting. Obviously, it's going to be different this year with regards to the different format and so on. But so far, English teams in the Champions League have yet to lose, so that's always good for Coefficient FC.
Yeah, keep it going.
Yeah,
keep it going.
Keep winning games,
and
apropos of nothing as well, it's interesting to see, obviously the share of the pie, and we won't get into the conversation about it now, but share of the pie from a UEFA point of view, Aston Villa down, I think, in about 11th or 12th place from that point of view, but every win gets you 2.1 million euros, as you mentioned, as we mentioned previously, Paddy, and look, what's to say that we don't go and win out from here on now in the Champions League? And look, FFP, a lot of people were worried about it at the start of the year. The longer we hang around in the Champions League, the less we'll have to be worried about FFP and covering it with sales. There probably will be sales, but look, that's all for another podcast. Going back to the Bournemouth side of things here, Paddy, as well. We obviously saw Tyrone Mings and Boubacar Kamara on the bench at the weekend, and it just popped into my mind there. You mentioned about Bailey and Philogene and all that. Do we think maybe it might be time to give Onana a rest? Had an injury, came off injured against Bologna. Like, is there a need to throw him back out again on Saturday, or maybe have him on the bench, use him sparingly? Yeah. Maybe they bring in a Kamara.
It's not a downgrade, as we've seen. We've seen Kamara come on and drift across the park like his normal self the other night. We've seen Barkley come on and change games. Like, Barkley has been, an unsung hero this season, the way he's managed to come in, dictate games, slow the game down to our pace and play it at our pace, especially in those games that we were chasing recently. So he has been worth his weight in gold. And he ironically, he could be the one that misses out as much with Boubacar Kamara coming back in there. But I still think there's enough games. There's enough games for everybody. And the longer we stay in the Carabao Cup and stay in Champions League football, then happy days. Because I expect us to be playing midweek, week in, week out until at least March. That's what I reckon at this stage. If we can stay in 8th place, it'll definitely be March. Or if we have to go through a playoff, which you'd have to back us against. Well, there's no doubt that there's going to be a couple of big teams dropping between 8 and 16 as well. So we will need to be careful. But look, that's the least of our worries. What we need to worry about now is getting 3 points on Saturday. That means putting the best team out that he can see to tear this Bournemouth team apart. And I've no doubt that the last 2 years have taught us that he will know how to do that. Whether the players step up and do it, that's what we have to wait and see. But
That's another thing.
I expect changes, a couple of subtle ones. I expect to see Matty Cash. I kind of expect to see Luca Dean, and I don't expect to see Leon Bailey. If with the embarrassment, the riches that are there now, it probably is time to step him down and let him rest or whatever it is, get back up to speed, and have him fit and raring to go for after the Carabao Cup games.
Yeah, I think Onana as well probably be the only other one I'd add to that. Is I think not that he's been playing poorly or anything like that, but just we've an it's not a slight on Bournemouth. It's just we have a squad that we can rotate and not lose from our starting 11. And there comes a time when you have to rotate or when you're forced into rotating, but maybe prevention is better than cure is what I'm thinking here. Maybe prevent the need to be forced into a change because of an injury or a niggling injury. If you allow the knocks kind of look after themselves and manage them throughout the season. Look, it's not a perfect science, and there will be actual science behind it, the sports science aspect of it, and we'll see where how Unai Emery takes to this task, I suppose, on Saturday, because this is one we didn't expect him to change the team as much as he did during the week. So that's why we're talking more and more about what changes will happen in this game. Considering was he resting people for this game? He has said the league is his number one focus, should I say? So who am I to say that he was a liar when he said that? So I would expect to see Watkins, Digne, and potentially, as you say, Ramsey in for Leon Bailey, and maybe Barkley, or even maybe Boubacar Kamara. Maybe I would say Barkley in for Onana, if Onana is carrying an eagle as well. I just don't see the negative in doing stuff like that and making sure that everybody you have in the team is 100% fully fit. Players will understand it. They'll be pissed off, but they'll understand it because winning cures all, as I've said before.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt that is well spelled out to everybody who wants to buy into what the manager is doing. And look, it was a case of having to, because the pressure is on there. He needs to get the points on the board. And look, he could switch things up and we could lose this game. It's just that's the way the Premier League has gone for a lot of teams this season. But you'd have to think, even with what we have available, that it's a game we should be winning. Not that I'm saying we have a God-given right to do so. We could still lose the game. I just expect us to win it. Make the changes. Get minutes in the legs for, who knows, maybe even gives Pau Torres a rest. Definitely will on the midweek game, I'd imagine. But we'll wait and see what happens there.
Yeah.
But for now, it's just focus on this. Get this one over the line, and at 4:45 on Saturday evening, let us go off again with another smile on our face, because it's just been a bit of a roller coaster this season. It's just, it feels like we're riding a wave, and you don't want to fall off that surfboard. That's exactly how it feels at the moment. So keep on trucking and keep on putting that smile on our face, Mr. Emery.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really going to do it. Like, this is going to be a shorter one than normal. As I say, it is pre-recorded, so pop your comments in here and we'll try and read back at them and comment underneath them as well. It's going to be a tough game against Bournemouth at the weekend. Always is, and they're a tough customer. Really well managed team, really well coached team, and have a board and a setup there that likes to be ambitious as well. So with some really, really good players there. There's I know, Paddy, you normally go for you used to last year in the team sheet tantrum, asked me what one of their players would I have. There's a couple of players I'd have from their squad in our squad, and that's even with the loaded squad that we have as well. So have to take every bit of respect, give every team respect. In the Premier League, because as you said, Paddy, we're 66-1 to win the Premier League, and we're 28-1 to win the Champions League. So like that goes to show that the bookies probably think it's harder to win the Premier League than it is win the Champions League at the moment. So you have to give every team in the Premier League that bit of respect.
How many times do we see people that haven't won their league go and win the Champions League? So it does happen. I don't know what their joined up thinking is with that, but the bookies seldom get it wrong. And if we're more favourites to win the Champions League than the league, they're probably right, because they generally take money off you as opposed to giving you money.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, we're going to leave it at that, and we will be back again for Team Sheet Tantrum on Saturday, and also post-match podcast as well. Yeah, please like, follow, subscribe, whatever platform that you watch us on, whether it's Spotify, and tell the person sitting next to you if they don't know about us to tell them about us, because the best way to spread this podcast is by word of mouth. And also, for those of you messaging me asking me was the shirt claimed, it was. Shirt is winging its way to James Oliver now. He is a real person, as we know. He's a really been chatting to him, having a good laugh about him, laughing with him there, making sure that he wasn't a bot, slagging him that way. And the shirt is on its way to him now. So well done, James. And we will be doing more giveaways throughout the course of the year, obviously, as well. So keep an eye out for those. Also, as well, I want to say that this podcast, and I forgot to do it at the start, brought to you in conjunction with footballprizes.co.uk as well. They currently have, and it'll actually be over by the time this comes out, but they have weekly prizes, weekly competitions. They currently have a competition for a signed Matty Cash shirt, which ends at 7:30 tonight, which will obviously be after when this podcast comes out. But have a look at those guys, see what offerings they have for Aston Villa. It is obviously a paid ticketing service. You pay for your ticket, and if your ticket gets drawn out, obviously you get the shirt. But there's an awful lot of signed memorabilia up there, and shipping usually to UK and Ireland only, and there are terms and conditions that apply with all that stuff. So give those guys a shout out or a look as well if there's anything there.
We have had a winner in Mark Wood.
We did. Mark Wood.
Pau Torres
shirt, signed Pau.
And
yeah,
it's been delivered and packaged well and sent to him, and he was very happy with the prize. So the real prizes, thankfully. People on podcasts do get stung with these things, but they seem like really good guys, and we've seen a number of winners, especially a couple that listen to the podcast, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So that's footballprizes.co.uk. Right, going to let you guys go. Thanks a million. Thanks ever so much for watching. We will not have a pre-recorded Team Sheet Tantrum, as you know. We will not have a pre-recorded post-match podcast, but unfortunately we had to do this one because we couldn't marry up our timetables tonight. But everybody, we'll see you again on Saturday for both of those. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.